Merry Christmas and welcome back to Gideon Stuff. I'm so happy to have you guys here. This is my favorite time of the year. I love Christmas, I love winter, and I love rounding up all kinds of gear at the end of the year. Wow, that rhymed. I did not plan that. Before I started YouTube, like my own channel, I remember I loved watching all the other reviewers do their end of the year roundups. It really brought a smile to my face, and so here I am, following in their footprints. So this year, there's a lot of cool stuff I handled. And not all of it, not all the stuff I reviewed this year was new for 2022. And I don't handle as much as a lot of other people. I'm not saying that because boo-hoo-hoo, poor me. It's just how my channel works. You know, I'm pretty busy. I work. I'm a full-time student. I try and do this channel. And when I review a knife, or anything for that matter, I like to carry it and really get to know it. So, you know, I just can't handle everything, right? And even if I did, the channel would be very different. However, I did handle some really good stuff this year, and we're going to get into it. I think first off, we'll just start with some random things, and then I'll give out some specific awards. I didn't count how many things I have here. I probably should have. But, you know what? Off the cuff it is. We'll just go with it. So, let's go ahead and get started. First thing I want to talk about is the Petrified Fish Victor. This is a really cool knife. Review is on its way, just like Santa Claus. Really cool knife. Very interesting design. Petrified Fish is continuing to impress with their build quality. I mean, that action is just insane out of the box. But I've been really enjoying carrying this knife. I love buoys, so this is definitely right up my alley. Just a really cool, unique knife, and especially for 35 bucks, it's really hard to beat. So, love that knife. That was new for this year, and I thought it was very cool. This year had a lot of button locks. So many button lock knives came out this year, and I handled several. I'm not the biggest button lock fan, as you guys know, but I did handle a couple, and one of my favorites that I handled this year was a Tucson TS336, or 8, what is it? 338. This is a really cool knife. This was given to me by Mike over at Sharpened Blade. In fact, he's going to be mentioned a couple of times on this video, so definitely go subscribe to him. But really cool knife from Tucson. Very thick, robust button lock. Great action. The thumb studs are interesting. You've got kind of a buoy blade, great ergos. This was a knife that I found transitioned very easily between, you know, this summer when I was working in the woods, cowboying and stuff, and then to the school year where I was being a uber nerd. So, yeah, really cool knife. One of the only Tucsons in a while that's gotten me, like, kind of excited. Fairly small knife, but kind of chunky and robust. Great feel in the hand. D2 blade with a really cool black wash. Mazwan Mokdar design, I believe. No, Night Morning. My bad. Night Morning design. And, yeah, just a pretty unique knife. And so that was my favorite button lock that I handled this year. Next, I want to talk about the CJRB Hyperlight. I don't have it with me anymore. This one was loaned to me by Mike. And the interesting thing about the Hyperlight was I did not like it at first. I got it towards the end of the summer when I was still cowboying, and I was trying to use it out in the woods and stuff, and it just wasn't doing it for me, right? It was kind of small, it was narrow in the hand. The best use I got out of it was as an irrigation knife, because the AR RPM 9 is a stainless steel, and I found that it was pretty good size and, you know, pretty convenient to have a fixed blade when you're down the irrigation ditch and you're cutting stuff. But other than that, I wasn't really impressed. And then I ended up being homeless for a little bit, and I had that knife with me, and I really started to appreciate it more as an EDC fixed blade. And so that was for a couple of weeks before I got my whole housing situation figured out. For a couple of weeks, that was my, like, that was a knife I was using for everything. And I really, really grew a fondness for it. It became a pretty cool knife, and I modified it, made some fixes to it, sent it back to Sharpened Blade. But yeah, the TJRB Hyperlight was definitely an interesting knife this year. I went from not liking it at all to thinking, you know what, it's pretty cool. So really, really cool there. Next, I got to handle some interesting things this year, including a couple of more premium knives than my channel usually has. And those were the Oaksworks Solar Storm EDX and the Devo Knives Stout. And both of those knives were excellent, but my favorite was the Stout. I don't have it anymore. It was loaned to me by Lefty EDC, and so I sent it back to him. But that was definitely my favorite new premium knife of 2022. Fantastic knife, really great design on that thing, and I really enjoyed carrying it quite a bit. It was a very, very well designed and well made tool. And I mean, you guys know how it is. Everyone's talked about the Devo Stout, so I don't really have anything else to say. And then the last knife I want to talk about that I don't have with me here was the Artisan Cutlery Ahab. That was an interesting knife because it was like a super, super slicey knife, really kind of weird but elegant looking, and overall, I really enjoyed it. My biggest complaint with it was that some of it was disassembling it, but you know what? I'm sure with a little bit of practice and just refinement, really wouldn't be an issue at all. But yeah, that was a very interesting knife, very comfortable in hand, super slicey, but yeah, there we go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about some specific things. So, this year I purchased a Grail knife, and I had to mention it because I've really been enjoying it, and that is the Best Tech Bowie Tie. This is not new for this year, but I want to mention it because this was a knife that I wanted for a long time, and I got it this year, and I really loved it. Still do love it. It's very elegant, but it's kind of a big, brutish knife. Great slicer, great ergos, fantastic action. It's just, oh, it's so nice. I really do love this knife. Saved up a lot for this guy, but you know what? It was worth it. So I've really been enjoying this guy here. So just wanted to mention him real quick. All right, next, let's talk about a little piece of gear. My favorite flashlight, my favorite EDC flashlight I handled this year came to me from Lefty EDC. It's an Olight Arkfeld. This thing's incredible. I had some doubts about it at first, but you know what? It's incredible. It's fun. You know, you have the laser pointer. What happens if I do that? Oh, it's got the laser pointer. Has a pretty good flashlight on there. It's square, which means it carries a lot easier than most flashlights. Got a magnet on the back. I just really enjoy it. This has become my new EDC flashlight. Very, very cool light. If you have not seen the review on it, you should. I go and I explore some abandoned buildings and, you know, get up to some jackassery. So, pretty fun video. Really great light. Okay, this is a knife that I want to mention. My favorite uber budget knife this year, like we're talking uber budget, was the Camillus Defy. I have not done the review on this knife yet, but I did make a couple of videos about this year. Ridiculously cool knife. I got mine for about $15. I see that they have gone up in price about $20, but really cool knife, axis lock style, running on bearings, really good ergos, 420 steel. And it's a well-made knife despite being, you know, super duper uber budget. I really, really like this knife, and I'm always on the lookout for things that are very cheap, but really good, and this definitely falls in that category. And in fact, I am doing a giveaway of one of these for my 1K giveaway, which more information on that is coming soon. I know, we've got to 1K. Thank you so much. That's fantastic. But yeah, there we go. Okay, my favorite big overbuilt folder of this year was kind of the only one I reviewed this year that was new, and that was the Cold Steel Engage. Now, if you guys remember from the review, I said that this was not my favorite Cold Steel, and I stand by that. It's not my favorite, but it's really dang good, and I really did enjoy it, and it makes me very excited to see what Cold Steel comes out with in the future. The Atlas lock is super cool, you know, obviously kind of banking off of the Shark lock, but really nice knife, great ergos, just a solid work knife. I bought this in the summer, and it became basically the only knife I carried out in the woods for quite a long time. Really, really excellent knife. Great action. Fidgety, despite being so huge. Super strong. S35VN, G10. The going rate for these is between like 165 and 170, which I think is actually not bad. My biggest complaint with this knife was the pocket clip. But, yeah, really solid knife. Really, really enjoyed that one. Alrighty, moving on to my favorite small knife of the year, and that is none other than the Cold Steel Micro Engage. This little knife really surprised me. I bought it as just kind of a meme, and I have ended up carrying it so much. It has become one of my favorite knives. It's really, really sweet. Not very expensive. The materials aren't great. GRN, 4116 steel. But dang it, I have just enjoyed carrying this little sucker so much. So much. It has been a real treat and a pleasure to carry this thing. Running on washers. It's just a really cute little knife. Weighs pretty much nothing. And yeah, it's so cool. If you do not have one of these, go ahead and get one, because I cannot describe the fidget factor, the just cuteness of it, but it's still so usable. The ergonomics are so good. Yeah, it's definitely a keeper. Really, really. That thing is probably the knife that surprised me the most this year, because, again, I bought it as a meme, and I ended up loving it. I carry it pretty much every day as my backup knife. It's that dang good. Alrighty, moving on. Let's talk about my favorite budget knife of the year. And this is a knife that not a lot of people talked about, but I really enjoyed it. And that's the Sincut Tainan. This knife is incredible. 10CR steel, which is basically VG10. It's a steel frame lock. It's a small knife, but fits in your hand great. Fantastic blade for all types of EDC stuff. My biggest complaint with this knife was that it has a bead blast, and I still need to replace that pocket clip. But really, really nice little knife. Super snappy. Like, probably one of the snappiest knives I reviewed this year. And it's just, oh gosh, it's incredible. Mine is broken in like so well. I have used the heck out of this thing. And again, my only big complaint is that it has a bead blast on the blade. But really love this knife. Love what Sincut is doing. Which is ironic because I'm not the biggest Civivi or Wii guy. But man, I like a lot of Sincuts. So, I don't know. Call me a hypocrite or whatever. But really, really cool knife. Small, easy to carry. Just a darn good, simple EDC. Really, really love that knife. All right. Moving on, my favorite super slicer of the year. I didn't really know what other category to put this knife in, but I just love it. The CJRB Caldera. This knife is just cool. It's different. It looks, I mean, it's got a look all of its own, and I just love it. And, I mean, the ergonomics are good. You got this choil here. You can just choke up in there. And this full, flat ground cleaver blade of AR RPM 9, it passes through cardboard like a demon. This thing is such an amazing... If you want to sit down and just slice all day, every day, this is the knife to do it. I mean, I really love this knife. And maybe I'm biased. You know, it's called the Caldera. I've got the geology theme, and I'm a geologist, but it's it's a knife that I really, really, really enjoyed. The action is nothing amazing, but you know what? It works, and that blade, the blade and the ergonomics, just the overall look really, really set this knife apart. And especially, I mean, you get these for like $55. They're really, really nice. I am a big, big fan. Alrighty, the last knife I want to talk about. This is my favorite user knife of 2022. This knife absolutely blew my socks off. It's just fantastic. Love this knife. Use it for everything. It's so dang good. And that is the Vosteed Nightshade. This knife made it so hard for me to carry anything else. Like, after I got this knife also from Lefty EDC, subscribe to his channel, it made it so hard for me to use any other knife. This thing is just such a workhorse. Gosh, it's good. It's so dang good. I use it all the time. Great blade shape. I've got all kinds of smuck and stuff on it. This knife is always dirty because I'm always using it. It's so easy to carry. It's pretty nice and small. Great action, made by Kaiser for Vosteed. But just the way this blade angles, this full flat grind, 154 cm steel. I mean, you can slice, you can utility cut, you can drill. I mean, this is a great garden knife. It's just, it's fantastic. It's really fantastic. I've enjoyed it so much. Definitely my favorite user knife of the year. Like, just all around user knife. Not hard use, not, super slicer, not, tiny little box cutter. Just as an all around kind of do it all type of knife. This has been my favorite EDC knife of 2022. And it is amazing. It's fantastic. Love it. Cannot recommend it enough. But that is going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Merry Christmas. Tomorrow we're going to have another video kind of like this. But until then, I hope you have a great day, great holiday season. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one. Adios.